friends! It is the end of another year, which means it is time for all of the recaps and reflections and reviews, and this is no exception. Every year for the last couple of years, I have done a look back video at all of the songs that I've released that year and talked a little bit more in depth about the stories behind writing them and the production, and I wanted to do that with my releases of 2022. So let's do it. I'm sinking down. If you only knew how hard it is for me to climb out, I'm kicking and screaming. In January, I released my song I Didn't Ask for This, which was based on the character of Nesta from A Court of Silver Flames. And when it came to Nesta, we've kind of seen her character arc through all of the ACOTAR books, and so I really wanted it to be more focused on her rather than like any of her relationships. I wanted it to be more of like a mental health song talking about how dark things had gotten. And I remember I actually came up with the first little bit of the song, which was the "You think that I'm a Spitfire, you should, afraid you're on my bad side, that's good." Like that little part, I was actually on a walk in my neighborhood and kind of thought of that little snippet of it and just kind of went from there. And one thing I thought would be fun to do this year is actually play you guys some of my voice memos so you can see what stayed the same from my songs versus what changed. So here are a couple of the voice memos from I Didn't Ask for This. You think that I'm a Spitfire, you should. Afraid you're on my bad side, that's good. If I wanted to end you, I could. Strike first, make it hurt. You're everything I said you were. Another villain in their story. Da 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 da. When everyone assumes the worst, you never have to say you're sorry.
Down, 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 where no one can touch me now. But don't you ever forget, I didn't ask for this.
I'm sinking down. If you only knew how hard it was for me to climb out. I didn't ask for this. I'm sinking down. If you only knew how hard it is for me to climb out, kicking and screaming, but no one believes me. So what happens now? The shadows are creeping in, but don't you forget, I didn't ask for this. When it came to the production for the song, I knew I wanted something that had like an underlying pulsy beat, because it's definitely kind of an up-tempo song, so I just wanted something that would really drive it the whole time. And Daniel came up with this really great guitar. So that became one of the signature things about the song. And then he also did these really cool electric guitar bends. I call them like fancy whale sounds because that's a little bit of what they remind me of. And the cool thing that I got to do with this song is that I had an animation artist out of Austria contact me. Her studio name is Erlance, and she just reached out and said, you know, that she had followed my music and listened to it for a long time, and she did animation and she would love to collaborate on something. And I checked out her work and it was amazing. And so we figured out how we were going to do this collaboration. I thought it would be really cool to do it for this song. And so for several months, she would send me animation updates and clips and things so I could see the progress. And it was so cool being able to follow the process of how all of that worked. And I actually did a whole like video interview with her where she walked me through some of the animation process. So I will link that in the description if you want to check that out. And the resulting lyric video is definitely one of the coolest videos that I have on my channel. It is at like 800 and something thousand views. She actually submitted it to several film festivals and it's won some awards, so it is much deserved for her because she did such a beautiful job on it, and I'm just really glad that people liked the song and liked the representation of Nesta. I would say my favorite lyric from I Didn't Ask for This is probably spiteful, ruinous, I'm all the things you feared I was, just because ruinous is a great word, and I was just excited to be able to use it in a song. He's not yours. You don't get to want him anymore. You had your chance and lost it. There is nothing you can do about it. The next song I released was in March, and it is called He's Not Yours. This is another one of the songs that I started writing for the book project that I promise I'm gonna try and do something with someday, but it just didn't end up fitting with that, so I decided to flesh it out into a whole song just on its own. And the idea behind this song is somebody that broke up with a lover and they maybe got out of touch for a while, but they've started talking again, as the song says, and that spark has been rekindled, and it's kind of the person being like, should I say something and potentially ruin, you know, whatever this like positive relationship we have, in order to take the chance on it being a romantic relationship again. This was my first time using the F-bomb in a song. I had had a few moments in songs throughout the years that I like really kind of wanted to, but I'd shied away from it. But I finally was just like, I am 30 years old. I can have a little spicy language. If Taylor Swift can do it, I can do it. So I did, and I think I only had one person that was like scandalized by it. So, you know, yay. And I think the signature thing about this song is the very specific rhythm it has, especially in the chorus, where it's like very kind of offbeat. I'm glad that the production, we really kind of found that pocket to be able to emphasize that in a cool way. My favorite lyric from He's Not Yours has to be subtle was never my style. I liked it so much that I actually made merch with it, which you can get using the link in my description. I just thought it was a fun line and deserved to be on a t-shirt. You'll move on and I'll be stuck having to watch you fall in love. I'll manage, but I hope you know I'm the collateral damage. In April, my song release was Collateral Damage, and Collateral Damage is about having feelings for somebody that are one-sided, and you know that eventually they're going to find someone else and it's going to change your relationship with them, and you're just struggling with that and like knowing how bad it's going to hurt before it actually hurts. And I've got a couple of voice memos to share for this one as well. Collateral Damage was interesting because it was another one of those songs that I thought that one thing was going to be the chorus and it ended up not being the chorus. So I thought the bridge part was going to be the chorus, and that tends to happen a lot if parts don't end up where I initially think they're going to be in the song. It's usually something that I think is a chorus and it turns out to be a bridge. And one of the things I loved about this song was I got to use some photos for the lyric video that I had taken with a really creative photographer named Anna Haas. It's this like pink velvet suit, and I got to wear a blue wig, and a lot of people thought that that was actually my hair, but it wasn't. I wish. So I just had this whole like pink aesthetic to go with this song, which was fun. For production, I knew I wanted it to be really poppy, and I knew I wanted it to be 4 on the floor, which is the term that we use for something where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, where it's very like on the beat, kind of steady. Just a quick little music lesson there. And my favorite line from this song is the bridge, which I initially thought would be the chorus, which is, I put makeup on so you'll think I'm pretty. I can make you laugh, don't you think I'm funny? And I'm smart enough to predict how it's going to end right from the beginning. Because I just wanted to capture that effort that you put in to impress somebody and hope that they notice.
If I had my way, I'd pick out our best days and live in them forever.
In May, I released one of my most emotional songs of the year, which was Beautiful Remains. And Beautiful Remains had an interesting journey because I started writing this song when I was in kind of a rough place mentally. I was thinking about quitting music because it had just gotten to be stressful and at a point where I was so bogged down by like numbers and just feeling really burned out that I thought that maybe I was done. And so I started writing the song almost as a eulogy to my music career, and it was addressed to my listeners and talking about how much I appreciated my time with them. Such a bummer. And these are a few voice memos from when that was still the direction I was taking it.
I tried to close the distance and reach out to you, but I let you slip right through my fingers.
But I was having trouble finishing it, so I kind of put it aside, and when I came back to it, I had this idea that I wanted to do it more about change and nostalgia and just how growing up, even when you're already an adult, like the different phases and chapters of your life, you look back and are wistful about the previous ones. And from the start, I knew that I wanted to do a music video, and I had two specific visuals in mind. The first of which was having my own like childhood home videos projected onto me as I'm singing, and then me in front of a whole wall of photos of my life. So what I did is I found this device that can digitize VHS, because all of my home videos from when I was a kid are on VHS tapes. And you can basically record them onto a USB drive and digitize them. So I took the entire box of VHS tapes and spent a lot of time recording hours and hours of home video and then going through and picking clips from that. So I filmed the music video with Thomas, who is a longtime collaborator of mine. He does a lot of my lyric videos, and it was just a very like low-key, very chill video experience, which was cool. The one funny thing is that I was trying to figure out how many pictures I needed to print in order to fill up a wall, and I did my calculations incorrect because I'm not a math person. And so I ended up having about half the photos that I actually needed to fill up this wall. So I had to, while we were on set, put in an order to Walgreens so I could get a bunch of these pictures printed. I'm sure they thought it was so random and insane. We spent a chunk of time individually putting up every single one of those pictures that you see behind me in the music video. I also took the home video clips and made my lyric video, which was cool because it is chronological, so you can see like from the time I'm a baby and growing up, and I played it for my parents and for my aunts, and all of them cried, so I felt like my mission was accomplished. But it was just personally really meaningful for me. It just is consistent with what is my favorite lyric from the song, which is, why do all my happy memories make me sad? Because nostalgia is weird that you can reflect back on good things in your life and still feel sad because they're over or because something has changed, and it's just a very unique feeling.
I came up from nothing. The streets were my playground. I belonged to the city and was raised on the stakes I claimed.
I one was the Hard to Kill remix. Danny Rich remix, to be specific. And the way this came about is there is a group of singer-songwriters that do book-based songs called the Bookish Songs Collective. And they had reached out to me because they were going to be doing a Grishaverse-inspired album and wanted to know if I would like to write a song for it. And I knew with my writing, recording, release schedule, I wasn't gonna have time to do something new, but I said, would you be interested if I did a remix of Hard to Kill, which is based on Six of Crows? And they said yes. So what Daniel and I did is we basically stripped down the original Hard to Kill just to like the bones of it and rebuilt it with like more of a beat. I definitely feel like it goes harder, it's darker than the original. I have a behind the scenes video of that process and I'll put the link to that in the description, but it was a lot of fun to do that. We'd never done something like that before, so you should definitely check that out.
It's the end of the world. What's the point of running? The end of the world. So why do I feel nothing? Nothing.
My other release in July was End of the World, which is a song that I wrote specifically for the Hellbent novel series by Cody N. Carter. I've gotten to where I don't really do commission songs anymore, but she reached out and I was really intrigued by the concept of her book, mostly that it's kind of centered around the apocalypse. And I was like, that seems like a cool concept for a song. And I'm also a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, so I know that they deal with the end of the world pretty regularly. So I read the book and then I started kind of keeping track of a couple of ideas before I found the one that actually stuck, but here are a few of the earlier versions and ideas that I had.
You couldn't cut the tension with a knife. Da-da-da-da-da-da, be alive. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's the end of the world. So why do I feel nothing? Nothing. The end of the world. Da 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 da. The end of the world. Da 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 da.
With this one, I knew that I wanted it to feel very cold and detached, and it's about somebody that the world is crumbling around them and they can't figure out why it doesn't bother them at all. We had a lot of fun with the production on this one because it starts very stark, there's not much to it, and then the beat drops in the chorus and it just goes so hard. And my favorite End of the World lyric is, I wish the past would just stay dead. It's kind of a double meaning because obviously you could be talking about a lot of things when it comes to the past, but with this specific character, it actually is also referring to somebody that died, but seems to be continuing to haunt him, not literally, but like the memory is haunting him. So I always love when I can have a phrase or a lyric that has the double meaning like that.
If I'm being honest, every word you say cuts through me like a knife. If I'm being honest, I would do anything to keep you in my life.
In July, I released If I'm Being Honest, which is a song that I wrote inspired by the show Ted Lasso. Because we see in Ted Lasso the situation with his marriage where it's not that anyone has done anything wrong, but one person has fallen out of love with the other person who is very much still in love with that person. I thought it was a really interesting concept for a song of, what if there's this end of a relationship and it's nobody's fault, like there wasn't some big catalyst that ended the relationship, it just was like feelings changed and you try and hold on, but the best thing that you can do in some situations if you really love somebody is let them go, which I think is an idea that is almost more heartbreaking than some big explosive deterioration of a marriage or a relationship. And I started this song with a completely different piano rhythm that I tried to make work, and it just wasn't happening. And that's just something that happens in songwriting sometimes, where you can come up with a part that you really, really like, but sometimes it's a square peg in a round hole and you just can't use it. Or at least you can't use it in the song that you thought you would be able to use it in. And I have a quick voice memo to share from this one.
From being honest, don't know if it's worth it just to keep you in my life. Always you thought this through, and I just want the best for you, even if that means setting you free. Because you don't love me.
And this song was another example of how one word can completely change the meaning of a lyric. I think about that a lot as I'm songwriting because word choice is incredibly important. And the example from this is the original line was, "I wish I knew that you stopped loving me." And I changed it to, "I wish I knew why you stopped loving me." And to me, those two things have such a different tone and such a different meaning. And the "why you stopped loving me" I felt was just sadder and more gut-wrenching, so I went with that one. One of the things I really loved about the production on this song was we found this guitar tone for the electric guitar that really made it feel like it was kind of floating on water, and it's sad and reflective. I don't know, if a guitar tone can be all of those things, I feel like it was that. And we actually did a little bit more on this one with background vocals than we normally do, on some spaces in the song, kind of weaving it in between main vocal lines and on the turnarounds, which I thought was really cool. My favorite lyric from this one is, "It's plainly written all over your face how much it hurts you to hurt me," which I thought just captured the spirit of the song really well, where it's causing the person who is breaking off the relationship so much pain because they do still love and respect the other person in the relationship. It's just not in the same way anymore. And I thought that did a really good job of not villainizing the person that was ending the relationship.
How do you do it? You make it look easy. Being without me, I'm going through it. Can't get you off my mind.
In September, I released my song, "How Do You Do It?" And "How Do You Do It" is about the end of a relationship, and it really can be any kind of relationship where you know that the time of them being in your life has come to a close, but you are taking it a lot harder than they are, and you have to watch them be fine with it and wonder how they're able to do that when you're really torn up about it. And the thing that I started with on this song was the continuous piano note that goes the whole time, which I do want to say, just for the record, is kind of exhausting, doing that the entire time for a whole song, like you can hear in this voice memo.
Wearing a blindfold, trying to keep my balance. You da 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 da
So I finished writing the song and I did what I always do, which is go through and record the entire thing on the piano from top to bottom on my voice memos. And there's always like some scratchiness and kind of like white noise type stuff in the background of these recordings. But on this particular one, it somehow played out this really kind of cool rhythm. And so I literally took that into the studio and said, how can we recreate this? So that's how we ended up doing a lot of the like interesting rhythmic things that we did on this song. A lot of it was like tapping on things by hand that we recorded and then turned into a sound. And the thing I kept saying on this one, especially for the bridge, was that I wanted it to feel like swirly. And I had this idea in my head for a music video where I wanted basically to be stationary and for the camera to go like all the way around. Like I just wanted it to feel very like circular and swirly, and then at the end of the bridge everything just kind of stops. So that was the original idea I had for the music video, and when we got in to film it, I did this one with Thomas as well. We did some takes where it was the kind of 360 thing, but then we also tried a couple of other things because it's always good to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And we had a couple of cool moments that made us change the way that we wanted to do the music video. So it still has some of that going all the way around, but there was one setup he did where he was up at an angle and I was kind of like just moving my hands around, and then there was another one where I was in front of the lights and just kind of moving back and forth, and they said, get really weird with your body, and I'm like, you don't have to ask me twice. That's my natural state of being. But it's funny because a lot of the times when you do that kind of like physical stuff for a music video shoot or a photo shoot, it feels really unnatural, but it looks really cool. So we got a lot of moments from that shoot that were happy accidents that just looked really neat. And my favorite line of this song is, colors turn a shade grayer as we become strangers. I had a few moments in this song that I was really happy about the imagery. The close second would be, I've been walking a tightrope, wearing a blindfold, trying to keep my balance, because I love trying to paint a visual picture that you can also feel, like you can imagine the feeling of trying to do that and equating it to like an emotional state. I don't know. I enjoyed writing the lyrics for the song.
Why, yes, you're looking at my best. It might not seem impressive, but that's where my head is.
In October, I put out Two-Faced. I wanted to write this very biting, sarcastic song about mental health. I came up with this line that was, I've always been a little sad, good thing they make a pill for that. And that was my starting point for the song, and just built this song that's really cheeky, and it was really important for me for it to feel very like peppy and upbeat and be a huge contrast to the lyrics, which are, you know, kind of sad. And when I brought this one into the studio, I basically told Daniel, like, make the pop track that you have been wanting to make and just haven't had the opportunity to. So we went full pop with this one, just made it really like bubblegum, happy-go-lucky. It was a really fun track to produce. And from pretty early on, I had this very specific imagery for the cover for the lyric video, which was cartoon animated pill bottles for representing like happy pills or whatever. The guy that usually does a lot of my album covers and some of my merch, his name's Ben, he sent me these clip art drawings that he did of these pill bottles, and I was just like, that is perfect. So ended up using those for the cover, for the lyric video, and I ended up doing some merch for this song too, because I just thought it was really funny. So if you're interested in that merch, I do have pill bottle stickers and then the shirts that have my favorite lyric on them, which is, I've always been a little sad, good thing they make a pill for that. And I just felt like this was a very me song because it's tackling something really serious but trying to feel better about it through humor, which is how I approach most everything, is trying to find like a silver lining or the funny aspect of something that sucks. And so I hope that everybody got that out of the song because it was very entertaining for me to write and to make.
I am searching for somewhere I belong in the world you've been tearing apart, 'cause you'd rather go and destroy it all than admit you were flawed from the start.
And finally, for the month of December, I put out I'll Find a Way. When I was doing the collaboration with Erlance on I Didn't Ask for This, she emailed me and said, is there any chance you would ever do a song for my web series? Because she does this webtoon and web series called Rain, Angel of Freedom. And I said, absolutely. Like, after the amazing work that you did for me on the lyric video, I would love to write something for your work. So I read all of the webtoon that she has up, and it was cool because a lot of times the imagery that I use when I'm writing is stuff that I've made up in my head, but with this I actually got to have tangible images, which was great. So I tried to pull some specific imagery for different moments in her series. I remember very specifically sitting out at the pool in my neighborhood and like messaging back and forth about lyrics, because when you do this kind of thing you find yourself like working in very unconventional circumstances. And for the production on this one, I wanted to kind of go back to some of my earlier dramatic songs that had to do with books, but make it feel a little more like updated and current with the stuff that I'm putting out now. So I feel like we found this really nice bridge between the two where we've got some really cool unique sounds. There's this one that's kind of a wind swooshing sound that's neat in there, but then we brought in like some string parts, and yeah, I feel like it was a nice fusion of like vintage Beth and current Beth. And then I did a shortened version for Erlance to be able to put in her trailer for Rain, Angel of Freedom. So that was really neat because she would send me updates, kind of like she did with I Didn't Ask for This. She would send me updates on her animation and clips and everything, and hearing it put to my music that was like based on her original work, and then, you know, I did the song and then she kind of took what I did and animated for that. It was just a very cool collaboration. I'm glad that we got to do that together. And with this one I have a favorite lyric and a favorite moment. So my favorite lyric is "Your anger and pain turn to misguided blame." I just felt like that applied to a lot of different situations. And my favorite moment is the end of the bridge, which is the "I won't forget the way you turned your back on me," because I made a post about this on Instagram, but one of the things I really love about working with Daniel is that he will always pick an emotional vocal take over a pretty one. And so it's a very emotional moment in the song, and it's not the cleanest or the smoothest take of that song that I probably did, but it definitely has that bite, and you can feel that line through the vocal. And so I'm really glad that we picked that one, because it seems to be a lot of people's favorite moment in the song. There you have it. Those were my song releases for 2022. I will be announcing some of my upcoming stuff for 2023 here soon. I cannot wait to tell you guys about it. And in the meantime, I hope everybody has or had a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you next time. Bye!